That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
No tears, please. It's a waste of good suffering.
Fairly alarmed here.
Welcome to MOTN Top 10. That is Masters of the Nerdiverse Presents Top 10, where we count down our top 10 favorites within the pop culture nerdiverse. I'm, of course, your host, Mike G. And with me, as always, for this episode is my also host, the unidentified flying OG, Winter Trash Monk III.
I want to believe.
Do you believe?
No.
Bleep, bleep, bleep. Based upon that little blurb of the beautiful musical silence,
we're doing Alias. Top 10 of Alias.
We're doing top 10 of Married with Children episodes, especially the one where the Bundys go to England.
No, my favorite Alias episode is when her hair is red.
Isn't that like the first episode?
That's like the first season.
It's just the first season? Okay. I wasn't really heavy into Alias. Jennifer Gardner does. She just kind of disappeared, didn't she?
All right, that's the least weird thing you could say. So that's why I thought you were
stopped.
go.
No, I kept it kosher like Jewish beef, dog. I kept it nice and beautiful. Speaking of things that are beautiful, we're going to talk some X-Files this episode. We're doing our top 10 X-Files episodes of all time.
Would you say X-Files is beautiful, or would you say like X-Files is like a good example of why we shouldn't clone things?
X-Files gives us a good example of a couple of things.
because I remember hearing something about how like if you keep repeatedly cloning something, it loses its flavor. Like cloning a cake, it will cease having the flavor of a cake if you do it like 1,000 times.
Yeah.
So even it's like trying to clone itself.
That's one thing about
it's no longer a cake at the pot.
When it's to stop, how many pieces of the boat do you have to replace before it stops being the same boat kind of situation? It's funny you mentioned cloning because it made me think of the origins of the banana. Have you ever heard the origins of the banana, Doug?
No.
How bananas taste different because they're pretty much cloned over and over and over again.
Yeah, well, the same thing's with an apple. Like apples weren't as sweet as they are today. It's from people doing good old-fashioned genetic modifying back then.
Man, genetic tampering, crossbreeding, Doug.
There's a lot of we can't do that nowadays. Okay.
No, I'm sure we're doubling down, man. Speaking of like crossbreeding, there's a couple of really weird X-Files episodes. Like
just a couple
that delve into some pretty dark, gnarly stuff, man. What's your history with this show? This groundbreaking Fox original, Doug? Well, Chris Carter original, Doug.
Well, I remember as a kid, we were using rabbit ear antenna like television reception
in the old days.
Yeah, and we did not get reception for Fox, the Fox channel. So, I remember going to our local mini mart, and they had VHSs to rent, and there was one X-Files VHS that had 2 episodes on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched those repeatedly, and now they have a special spot on the list.
Nice. I'm sure those are probably like 1 and 2, because you always remember this stuff when you're a kid, man. Like the episodes you would just watch religiously over and over. And I remember being afraid of the first episode with the guy, because there was during the intro, there's the guy whose face we distorts, and he goes, "Whoa!" Me making that noise. Hopefully you were like remembering what I'm talking about.
No, I wasn't a wuss, but
whatever. It scared me, Doug.
The Thriller scared me. The opening of Thriller scared me.
Thriller scared us all, man. That's Rick Baker, makeup artist extraordinaire. But X-Files was just a different breed of cat back then, wasn't it? It was just nothing like it. There was nothing like it back then. Like we had this huge power gap between like Twilight Zone and X-Files, I think.
Yeah.
Where it just sparked imagination.
We'll have different experiences with it just because I think I was born the year it came out. Just throw that out there, and you're already like 26.
Yeah, I was already 93 back then. I've had many lives at that point. But no, I was a little Mikey's short pants. When did this come out, actually? Like 92?
93.
93. Yeah, this is one of those shows where my mom was into it.
How old were you?
93. I don't want to do the hot math on this episode. Let's just say I was old enough to have my own tricycle. You know, my own
21.
21. I won. Yeah, this is the show that was on in the living room, but you had to go to bed, you know, and your parents would watch it, but you couldn't watch it. So you'll just kind of poke your head in and see like a creepy alien at night. And guess what? Now you got nightmares. The second you see like the little alien hand come at the screen, that's imprinted into your baby brain, and then you have to go to bed. And now you're going to be dreaming of aliens like breaking into your bedroom, dog. But yeah, let's get to this list. So how we're going to be doing this is that me and Winter have picked 5 of our favorite episodes, and we're going to cross weave our choices. So I'll start with my number 10, and then Winter will choose his number 9. I'll choose my number 8, and we'll go all the way to number 1, if that makes sense.
All right.
We ready to rock and roll?
Let's do it.
Sweet. So
number 10.
Number 10. So this is like actually fighting for all my 1 through 5 all fight for space. Like they can be shuffled around because I love all these episodes for very different reasons. And I think this episode is one of the most funnest X-Files episodes that I dedicated to memory. And this is season 5, episode 5, the Postmodern Prometheus, dude. You know this episode?
Yeah, that's a classic Chris Carter direct.
Yes, I love this episode, man. One of the few episodes I think the only episode that was shot directly in black and white, which gave it this cool kind of monster movie kind of feel to it, man. And it's pretty much about Mulder and Scully go to investigate this small town where they think they have an actual Frankenstein running around the town terrorizing people. And the episode is played so tongue in cheek, and it's kind of built up to that this creature called the Great what was it called? The Great Mutatu or something like that. And people are like making comic books out of it, and it's this great town lore. And even Mulder is like, yeah, this thing super doesn't exist, man. Like, why are we here? You know, like it's a mix of Mulder and Scully having to kind of keep it together and solve the mystery. What are your thoughts on this episode, man?
See, it encapsulates a part of the X-Files that I don't like, which is when it goes super campy.
I thought it was fun, man. This is one of those.
I don't like fun in my show.
See, I don't know. It's a breath of fresh air because there's some episodes that are so dark that it's just so heavy, and then you have episodes like this in the X-Cops episode. You know, just throw that out there, where they're just dumb fun. I don't know why. I love this episode. I love the ending, where you find out that the Great Mutatu is like this Shakespearean trained, like, voiced actor. And his big dream is to, like, you know, sing with Cher, and then Cher shows up, dude. It's so cool. Put on my blue suede shoes, and I was like, this episode's cool. And Mulder's gonna get to dance in the barn. It's like a barn party, dude. I love this episode. It's almost an honorable mention, but it's one of my favorite. When I think X-Files, I always remember this episode. All right, what are you picking for number 9, dude?
Number 9.
Number 9.
The year is 1997, February 16th.
I was a baby.
No, you weren't. They tried to shoot this at, where's my notes here? They tried to film this at a Jewish synagogue, but they would not allow them to do it.
Nope, you will not desecrate the spirit of our synagogue, bruh.
So they went to a church and made it look like a synagogue.
Dang.
Yeah, this is none other than 15th episode of the 4th season, Kaddish.
Kaddish. Why does this episode ring a bell? Which one was this one about?
This is the one that has the Jewish exorcism in it.
Oh, wow. Yeah. What stands out for this episode for you?
That it's a Jewish exorcism.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah,
I'm trying to remember this episode. And the name rings a super strong bell, though. Like a dish. I'm going to have to rewatch this one. Was there any particular scene or anything that kind of stuck with you about this one?
Wait, I apologize. So there was actually a toss-up between the Jewish exorcism and this one. This one's actually about a golem. So let me just give you the basis. The show centers on blah, blah, blah. In the episode, Isaac, a Jewish man, is killed by a group of teenagers working for a racist shop owner. One of the assailants, however, is soon strangled to death, and the fingerprints on his neck are Isaac's. Despite other factors, Mulder becomes convinced that a golem is attempting to avenge Isaac's murder.
So it's not the Jewish exorcism one. It's not. Golem episode.
It was a toss up when I was making this list. And
good stuff. Good stuff.
Yes. So the episode, but it's still true that this was supposed to be shot in a synagogue, but no one would rent out their space, so they went to Shaughnessy Heights United Church, and it was renovated to look like a synagogue. I liked how it talked about like a real world issue. There seemed to be like a string of shows maybe around the time, or maybe movies where it's like old people that were secretly Nazis type thing.
Yeah.
You know, like what's the one that has
Dustin Hoffman?
Is it that one? Or it's the one where it's like his neighbor is old and the boy keeps going over to his house. Have the guy who plays Magneto maybe?
Apt Pupil?
Probably. It's a Stephen King thing, I think.
Is it Stephen King adaptation?
Yeah.
I'm thinking about the one where it's an old Nazi like war criminal, and Dustin Hoffman knows the secret, but he doesn't know it, and he's like drilling into a healthy tooth because that's how he would torture people. He's like,
I've heard of this. Yeah, I was thinking of Apt Pupil.
There you go. I called it. Cool.
Anyways, yeah, I like to talk about it. It's the mythology is not really mentioned a lot in American culture of like Jewish golems and stuff like that. And I thought that was interesting that they're pulling from different sources.
Dude, golems are really cool. Like,
yeah,
like you said, like the mythology of the golem and how they're created, and they serve a single purpose, and that purpose depends on who builds it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. These monoliths made of clay. You know what I mean? I remember I used to have this horror movie monster book. God, I don't know where that book is now, but it talked about golems and like them in popular culture. You know, so that's super neat.
Yeah, that's my choice. I really enjoyed it. Other shows that actually have tried to add like out of American culture lore, don't do it for me. Like Supernatural does it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're fighting a Japanese banshee. It's like,
we're fighting a skinwalker. You know, but I don't know. X-Files handled it, I think, more maturely.
Yeah.
Than I would say, like you said, like a Supernatural did.
Yeah. Like I don't know about you, but I find Mulder to be very accurate to how, like, not too crazy of a conspiracy theorist would go, but close.
That's what I love about Mulder. He's never over the top, or he's never over. David Duchovny plays the role perfectly because he's never overacting. But you could see the conviction in what he believes in. He's that guy where if you see him at a party, if you get him started, he's just going to tell you about it all, and you're not ready. You know, he's going to have that conversation with you.
Yes or no? Is Californication an extra long X-Files episode?
I think it's a power fantasy Mulder has when he's sitting at his desk.
Okay, no, that's Aquarius.
Oh, that'll make sense.
You're wrong.
I am wrong. But I'm not right, though. Right? Number 7. Number 8. Okay, I'm jumping ahead of the gun here.
Yeah.
My number 8 is one of the cooler episodes. Is one of the few episodes that the non-conspiracy episodes that actually had an additional episode with it. Same character, but in multiple episodes. This is season 1, episode 3, Squeeze. This is the episode where people are being found dead in their offices, like being found strangled or murdered in like bathrooms and things like that, and they can't figure out how these murders are happening. and it comes to find out that it's this mutant dude who has the ability to contort himself into impossible spaces through some kind of like slime like secretion that he kind of oils through himself. And it's one of the very, very early, it's the third episode of the series where they really start to go into the fantastical, like, okay, this is more than just about UFOs or more than just about aliens. Like, what is this guy? He looks very human. He's a normal looking dude who just looks like he's covered like in bacon fat, but he's a cannibal and he's animalistic and he has these gaunt yellow eyes and he's like super, super chilling. You know what I mean? It's one of those very early episodes that really freaked me out because this guy was like fitting in anywhere. And there's the end scene is him trying to squeeze his way through prison bars like Mr. Fantastic. And my mind just raced after that. Do you know which episode I'm talking about, Winter?
It doesn't come back to my mind, but it sounds like a pretty good creature flick.
It was a very good creature feature, and it did the thing where like apparently like every 30 years he has to feed, so he'll go into a weird kind of hibernation. You know what I'm saying? I know this. Yeah, where he takes like newspapers and like he licks them down like paper mache and he cocoons himself.
Yes, I remember this episode now, actually.
Yeah, it's weird.
I remember thinking like Jeepers Creepers.
Exactly. Jeepers Creepers took a lot from this guy about the whole, like, every 30 days he must feed. It's just some normal looking dude. There's no real creature effect to him, but he's just really creepy and he almost gets to drop on them a couple of times in the episode. So it's just definitely one of my favorites, one of my early favorites. What would be your number 7?
Number 7. The month is January. The day is 24, and the year is 2016. This is the 10th season, the reboot of the X-Files.
Which particular the first
episode 1?
Episode 1.
My struggle, folks. I remember when I heard the X-Files was coming back, I became a real pain to live with because I would not shut up about the X-Files coming back. Like, I made sure that the TV would automatically switch to Fox when X-Files would be on. And I remember watching this episode, and boy, was I happy that it was back.
Yeah, it was really. It was one of those shows we thought we never get back. And it was left pseudo open-ended. Even with the 2 additional films, it just wasn't enough, wasn't it? In a weird way.
Mind you, and this is all, it started off with talking about the mythos of X-Files. The myth arc, it went into the conspiracy theory.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, none of your creature feature stuff.
Hey, you like what you like, baby.
Uh-huh. So yeah, I really liked it. I was happy that it was coming back. There's a reason why you won't find other revival series episodes on my list, because again, it was kind of like we spent a few years not eating the cloned cake, and then we ate it. I'm like, oh, that's right. I don't really need this.
Oh yeah, there's new, more delicious cakes now.
Right.
You know, it's like you said. The X-Files, the one thing against the X-Files, the more it dragged on, the less, like you said, it just kind of regurgitating kind of the same themes.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it's the thing. It's like when you talk about actual conspiracy theories, they kind of just like drown out somewhere.
Yeah.
In my mind.
They start to white noise out after a while, right?
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense. And that's why, like, a lot of my favorite episodes are from the early seasons, are from seasons 1 through like 3 or 4. Uh-huh. You know what I mean? Just because when the more it dragged on, the more like I totally mentally checked out when the T-2000 joined the series. I can't remember his Patrick. Killing myself right now, but yeah, like the earlier episodes were definitely my favorite. Speaking of which, am I number 6?
Number 6.
This is actually, and these ones are, these are starting to get up there. I'm just gonna go right into it. Season 2, episode 14. Die Hand, Die Verzicht. Do you know what episodes I'm talking about? Die Hand, Die Verzicht. This is the episode where Mulder and Scully go to investigate a local New Hampshire town to find out that satanic rituals have been going on in the high school.
Ooh.
And this is the one where they're playing a deadly game of cat and mouse, what some may believe is the devil, him or herself. And it's one of the creepiest episodes in the entire series. And just there's this constant game of where these satanic rituals are kind of coming from, where the root from them are. People are dying in very weird ways. People are just like, they're finding bodies with like boa constrictors, sleeping in their stomachs and crazy stuff like that. And they're just trying to get to the bottom and catch up to the ringleader of these satanic cults. And you come to find out it's the teacher that's actually been the ringleader of this thing this whole time.
Right.
And they're doing next level witchcraft, or is literally Beelzebub themselves that are playing games with them. And by the end of the episode, they just leave a note on the chalkboard. It's been fun. Talk to you later, or something like that. It is like the coolest ending ever. And like they couldn't catch him. Couldn't catch him at all. Do you know what episode I'm talking about, Winter?
Yeah, I've heard of it before. I've watched it actually. It's a pretty good episode. Probably one of my favorite monsters of the week. Not one of my favorites, but it's up there that I could probably watch this again. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it's one of those that definitely stuck with me and really freaked me out. Just because of the subject matter, and also just the way it ended, and it was very well directed. I think this is another Chris Carter joint as well. So, definitely one of my favorite episodes. What do you got, Winner, for your number 5? Number
5. So the year is December 17th, 1993.
1993.
12th episode of the first season. We've got David Duchovny, Dana Scully,
Gillian Anderson. Yep.
Mark Shepard. Playing a serial killer capable of pyrokinesis. And this episode's called Fire.
Yeah, this is on one of my honorable mentions, dude. Talk about it.
So Fire is very special because it's a lot of live stunts, sort of thing. Mm-hmm. David Duchovny does get hurt in this episode. It is a man who has, I wish he became like a recurring character in the series. Mm-hmm. But I can't, this guy who has power over flame, it seems like.
Pyrokinesis, man.
Yes. And, so you've heard of this episode?
Yeah, this is one of my favorite episodes because there was no CG. It was all real fire and pyrotechnics with this episode. And this also the reason I like this episode because it also runs in my brain with the episode with Giovanni Ribisi, where he's a kind of like an electrokinesis guy.
Oh yeah.
Where he just calls lightning onto himself. But this one where this guy's like a fire starter and he can just create and control flames at will. You know what I mean? I definitely love this. I used to love this episode as a kid because I was just wondering, how did they do that? I didn't know that David Duchovny got injured on this one.
Yeah, he got like a scar in his hand.
Crazy.
Yeah. So it's one of the popular episodes, I would say, of Monster of the Week stories, I would say. I mean, it has a high Nielsen rating. Yeah.
Cool. What are we on, number 4?
Number 4.
Ooh, I think my numbering's off maybe because my list is starting to run a little short. That being said, I'm gonna go into this would be my second favorite episode, I want to say, of all time. Season 2, episode 2, The Host. And know why it's my favorite?
Why?
Because of the mother effing Fluke Man, Doug. The Fluke Man. This is the episode with the Fluke Man, dude. You already know. He was the poster boy for the early season of the X-Files. Mulder and Scully are reassigned to Jersey where they're finding all these fluke worms in like the pipings and things, and they're like coming out of the people's piping and like actually like killing them.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, they're attaching themselves to people's lungs and liver and stuff from the inside out. And after they discover where they're coming from, they go into the sewer system a la like the Relic, and they find this mutant human Fluke Man that has this crazy makeup effect where
Fluke Man Greg,
dog, and he's attached to the side of the like a reservoir, like those fish that clean the tank, dude.
A Blacostomus.
Okay, I'll take that. And they just kind of leave him be. They're like, yeah, what are we going to do with them? I'm like, oh, put him in jail, I guess. Put the Fluke Man in jail. They just throw him into like a county jail.
Nobody put the Fluke Man in jail.
They're going to put the Fluke Man in jail. I just remember that face creeping me out as a kid. And that makeup effect was just too perfect. You know what I mean? I remember just watching that and being like, oh, that's so cool looking and creepy. It's not the heaviest arc. It's not the heaviest in storytelling. It's just one of my favorites. It's actually one of my favorites of all time. So, that'll be my choice. The Host, season 2, episode 2.
All right. Choice, number 3. The year is 1994. Running time, 45 minutes. October 14th. This is the 5th episode of the 2nd season. Dwayne Barry.
Burr.
This is one of the episodes on the VHS tape that I would watch as a kid. And it's essentially about this guy who's abducted by aliens, and he kidnaps Scully.
Oh, I think I remember the guy was real unhinged, right? He had like a flannel shirt. Yeah, I remember this episode. Dwayne Barry, yeah.
Played by Steve Railsback. It's a hostage situation. There's something about the frontal cortex where he was shot in the head in 1982. Makes Barry a liar. Are you spraying something over there?
Yeah.
Okay, Mulder talks to Barry. Yeah, so it's very interesting. It's a 2-parter. You'll hear about the second one later.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a very neat episode because is it the guy like having just like PTSD, like abduction flashbacks the whole episode?
Right. And actually, I should specify that Scully gets kidnapped at the end of the episode. So you're really like delving into his backstory and like getting there's a hostage situation happening. And next thing you know, Barry escapes from the hospital, breaks in through the window of Scully, and kidnaps her.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
Man, it's funny you mentioned an episode where Scully's getting abducted because that kind of is the premise of my number 2. Number 2. Which is another season 2 classic. As you could see, I love the second season of the series. Episode 13, Irresistible.
Oh man, I thought we were getting somewhere. Okay.
Yeah, this is the by far scariest episode of X-Files for me personally.
The X-Files squad meets Robert Palmer, and they do a little sing out of Simply Irresistible.
Simply Irresistible.
She's so fine, there's no telling where the money went.
Dude.
You know what that song's about?
What's that song about?
I was asking you.
I don't know, man. It's something. Oh. Apparently, she's irresistible. So is Mulder. So is Scully, for that matter. A Freudian slip. Oh, You're going to jail.
I didn't say that. It's 2020.
It's 2020. The episode's about a simple man, a serial killer named Donald Addy Faster, who has a penchant for cutting the hair and cutting the nails of his victims before they die. Very unassuming. No real past history. Normal as a slice of apple pie. But the way he's depicted in this episode is of this gaunt, like lanky demon, I want to say. Whenever you see him in half shadow, it's this perfect application of makeup effects where he looks like Pumpkinhead. He looks like this creepy demonic force, and Mulder and Scully are on the case to kind of hunt down this serial killer who's played by a guy who's just the most unassuming looking dude you ever see. He's very quiet. He's very soft spoken, but he's just menacing under all of that. And he kidnaps Scully without knowing she's FBI. I don't think he knows she's FBI, but he's keeping her in his closet while he prepares her bath and prepares his kill ritual. But every time Scully sees him, he's just a demon. And there's these shots of this thing's face, dead center of the camera, full light. That's just, even now they're burned into my brain of seeing this creature, on the screen. And it's just one of those things where I'll never forget it. It's my favorite X-Files episode. This guy shows up in another episode later down, I think, future seasons. But this is the one where I was like, yeah, I can't watch this show anymore. This show's too real. And it's like, and by the end of the episode, they come to the conclusion that this guy is probably just evil. Like, there's really no rhyme or reason to it. Like, he's just the epitome of evil. And that alone just didn't settle well with me. There was no supernatural element to him outside of Scully's own projection of him. And that always just shook me to the bone, man. Irresistible, man, is my choice for what, number 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't with that episode. It's too scary. Too scary.
Okay.
So we're gonna make the number 1, my man.
So the number 1 is, I almost made it Ascension, which is the next episode after Dwayne Barry, which details Mulder hunting down Dwayne and Scully gets abducted. But the episode we are to think of, is truly the second episode on this VHS tape that I watched, which was One Breath.
Okay.
The 8th episode. Well, this is the one where Scully returns, and she turns out to be Preggers.
Yes,
and I love it because it's like I had no clue about the backstory of what's going on. I only had this episode, Dwayne Barry. I think there was Ascension on that VHS tape. There could have been 3 episodes for all I know.
Right.
Yeah. But anyways, it talks about Scully's back life. There's like some weird shots of like a snake getting shot with a BB gun. And essentially, this episode, without knowing it at the time, if when you watch a revival series, really is important, is crucial if you watch the revival 2 seasons.
Okay, so it's like a linchpin episode?
Yes.
Man. See, the thing, I wasn't, when it came to her pregnancy, I always thought it was strange, because did they ever really, like, give a definitive answer of how that went about?
Watch the revival series.
Watch the revival series, huh? All right, no spoilers here, Jack. That's going to be our number 1, isn't it?
Yeah.
Dude.
I'm trying to look up, because I believe the father, he plays like a general in Stargate. Oh,
straight up? The original movie or like SG-1?
SG-1.
Nice.
I don't know why he's made it so like, come on, man.
I don't know. You could have been in the movie with
Don't yell at me.
Don't pressure me.
Yeah, Don Davis. He plays General Hammond in Stargate SG-1 and Major Briggs on Twin Peaks.
Ooh, I can see that. Dude. Did you have any honorable mentions?
I would put Ascension. I'm losing my voice, man.
Oh no.
Ascension would be a good one to watch. I would put the next episode after Ascension 3, which shows Mulder by himself. And yeah, do you have any honorable mentions?
I have a couple. I mentioned one earlier, and that was X-Cops, which is a fun little cop slash X-Files crossover. Mm-hmm. Also, I would mention Millennium, the episode that spawned the kind of short-lived sister series with Lance Hendrickson. There's one of my favorite episodes is Bad Blood. I think that's the episode where they visit the town that is run by vampires, but they're not really vampires, but they are vampires because they don't have teeth. And it's just a fun little episode. The Tunguska episode where they go investigate the Tunguska event. You know, the flash frying of a forest like in 2 seconds.
Right.
I love that episode. And of course the home episode, the one that was banned because it was too gross. It was the inbred, you know, kind of Hills Have Eyes family that they had to stop and shut down. You know what I mean? Just, you know, the mom under the bed with no arms or legs. Just too much, man. It was just a little bit of too much, man. After this countdown, what do you take away from the X-Files as a whole? What are your lasting thoughts on it?
I think if people look back at the episodes we chosen, there's a lot chosen from season 2. So that could be said that perhaps season 2 is like the golden season. Like that's when it was in its prime. Yeah,
like that's my favorite season. It's almost, like you said, it's almost a rock solid season. You know what I'm saying? Season 2 was real strong. You know, I don't know how else to call it. Like that's kind of my last impression.
Yeah, we almost didn't recognize the seasons after Mulder is gone.
I know, and that could be a testament to our age. That could be a testament to when we jumped in.
No, it's a testament to they were garbage.
Wow. Yeah. I hate to say it, but you know, I wasn't a fan of it. And when he came back, it was even weirder. And the plots just kept eating each other. And for me, what drove me away was it got less about creature features and more about this conspiracy. But then that started eating itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the cigarette, because there was Cigarette Smoking Man was always super cool. The Lone Gunmen were always super cool. Those episodes, you know, when they would show up. But overall, my takeaway is I think the X-Files is such an important part of television history. Just because it was, you know, like I mentioned earlier, it's breaking new ground and bringing like a level of seriousness and intrigue to primetime back then that TV doesn't really do anymore. You know what I mean? They don't really experiment that heavy like Chris Carter and the X-Files team did.
Well, they did Fringe, right?
Fringe was cool. Fringe is a top 10 all into itself, honestly.
I don't think they experiment in the way the X-Files did in the way of like sci-fi experiment, but they still do like American Murder, like whether that weird ABC show where every season was like a different story.
American Horror Story?
No, that's on a different channel. But ABC, it was like the first season was set in Modesto. The second season was set in like a high school town where a kid gets assaulted and stuff like that. Third season's about like migrant workers, and it's like they'll push the bounds, but it's not sci-fi related. It's all like how gritty can we get it? Right
now. How gritty can we get on ABC?
It's pretty, right? Yeah, it's pretty much. Well, you can get gritty, man.
I'm sure.
Once 10 o'clock hits, things get a little blue.
After dark, right? Yeah. After dark.
Boston Legal after 10. Scandal after 10.
Dude, I mean, there's a history of it, but I think that X-Files was a pioneer of that.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? It was one of the early pioneers, especially on Fox, because Fox had a history of having the more racy series back in the 90s. You know what I mean? And they were the ones that gave everything a chance, but also canceled some great shows, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Prematurely. with that, man, do you have any last thoughts before we close this bad boy out?
Yeah, check me out on social media at Trash Monk the Third.
Hey, you want to see a dead body? If you want more science fiction-y fun, you can always visit our website, which is mastersnerdiversecast.com, where you can find all of our episodes archived, so you'll be able to listen to them all the way back to episode 1, The Phantom Menace. If you want to support us monetarily, you can always do so through our Patreon, which is patreon.com/MOTN. And if you want to support us non-monetarily, you can always do so by liking our content, subscribing to our channels, and commenting on our posts so we know if we're doing good jobs or not, because feedback is important.
What you said.
What I said. This is your very first episode. I would like to say hello and welcome to the Nerdiverse. I've, of course, been your host, Mike G.
Hi, Belinda, and I've been your host, Trash Monk the Third.
Hi, Belinda. And we will always ask you to look towards the skies. Look towards the skis. Does the Simpsons X-Files episode count as an X-Files episode?
Heck no.
You heard it here first. You heard it here.